Need an intro song. All right, so Juan, we're here in El Sereno again, and this time we're gonna try to retake our first video. Once again, we're pretty much learning. We're learning as we do it, right? We're gonna touch on the same topics again and try to have some new topics. Um, this time we have an outline, so we're gonna try to go a little more organized and have better transitions. So, I'm give it back to you. You take
Alright.
the floor.
Thank you, Jeffrey. So last video, I kind of spoke a little bit about myself, and then there's a few comments asking about Jeffrey. And so, Jeffrey,
Yeah, we went viral, right?
yep.
Yep.
How did you get into real estate?
5 views, guys. 5 views.
How did you get into real estate? And tell us about yourself.
So my name's Jeffrey, as some of you know. Some people might not. I got into the business 6 years ago. I was 24 years old. Before that, I worked in the kitchen industry or the food industry for about 6 years. At that time, I was working at this place called Burrito Place, and I was, I think, in the night shift when the owner of Las Casas Realty came by, and he approached me. He asked me, "Hey, you have great customer service. Have you ever thought or considered working in real estate?" And at the time, I was fairly young, and with my background coming from Honduras, and just growing up in Highland Park as a Latino, didn't really pay attention much about real estate. So I was kind of like clueless as to what kind of career or kind of work that would involve. So I was like, yeah, I took his number, but I didn't call him until like a year after. And when I did call him, though, he was there and ready to meet with me. I called him on a Friday, and then he met with me on a Monday. So, ever since then, they kind of like told me the process of how to start, apply, and take the test and all that stuff, which is like either a 3 to 6 month process. And ever since then, I stayed there. I haven't had a job since there.
That's
you know.
cool. That's cool. That's good. How George was able to help you out in the beginning. He went out of his way to meet with you, even though I know he was going through some things.
Yeah,
He,
yeah,
he made the time to meet with you and guide you through the process. That's pretty good.
I remember you mentioned that at that time you were struggling on picking a career after high school, huh?
Yeah, I think I was still in high school.
Did you also reach out to George, or did you reach out to the office?
No, actually, I reached out to Martha, George's
Oh.
sister, and then she told me about George. So
Okay.
that's how I came to be, and yep. And then, any advice you would have for someone trying to get into real estate?
Well, you know, uh, when I got into the business, I was kind of like over having a job, so I wanted to pursue something for myself, something like for me. And I think I've always been business driven. I've never
Mhm.
really known how to do it, but I've always been
Alright.
like, I don't want to have a job. I don't want to be told what to do. I want to have that freedom to be able to like kind of get creative and like do what I want to do.
Right.
So I was like, yeah, I'll just pursue this. This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into because it's not easy.
And we do get told what to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's worse, right? Because you deal directly with your client. So,
Yeah,
um, anyway, but at least like you have flexibilities that
that's
you
true.
don't when you have a boss, when you have a 9 to 5. But my advice to anyone that wants to, pursue a real estate career would be to keep your 9 to 5, because like, you know, when you go into a commission based business or career,
Right.
you never know when your next paycheck is coming. And
Right. That's true.
when you're new into the business, you're new. You don't have any experience. You don't know much. So you have to learn. And while you're learning, you're most likely not going to make money. Some people can, if you have great connects, you have um, great work ethic, then you'll get into it. But as for me, it was pretty tough. And most people actually have it tough when they go into real estate
Right.
business. So I'm sure that, other people would resonate with that. But yeah, that's my number one advice. Keep your 9 to 5, keep something, unless you have like a big savings, like enough for 6 to 10 to like a year. Then I would suggest, yeah, just drop everything and go on full on for real estate.
Sounds good. Sounds good. And now, let's see. Now getting into your real estate career, how is it for you dealing with other agents and transactions? Maybe you're representing the sellers, or you're representing the buyers. How's that for you?
Like meaning
Any
uh,
experience?
like dealing with other like
Yeah,
competition, meaning competing
no.
for like a property to sell, or like dealing with an agent that has the property listed and I'm the buyer's agent
Right,
type
that
of
way.
thing. Well, I mean, I see it. Everyone has different personalities.
Mhm.
So sometimes you come across people that are great, some people that are, super good at what they do, and they also have customer service. But sometimes you don't. Like that's just part of life and part
Right.
of the business. So I've had great experiences with other agents, and I've had a few that weren't the best. But I mean, we still got it closed. We still got it done. Um, but I mean, that's just. I'm sure that's just in any business.
Got it. Yeah. Just trying to work together and get the
Yeah.
deal done.
Yeah, but in this business, just like I feel like any business, the more you get along with other people, even with your competition, the better. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, there's just one purpose. You're all working towards the same goal, and it's just help your clients, their clients, to buy or sell or invest. So,
Right.
yeah.
And going towards client side, what's the best approach to try to get clients? What maybe this could help people trying to get into the business or agents that might need some guidance.
Well, I mean, it's like it's going always back to the basics, and everyone says that. You know, when it comes to attracting new clients, I remember when I was new in the business, I was afraid that, I was too young, or I was like, I didn't know enough. So that was my fear then, right?
Right.
I would get scared calling someone, telling them, "Hey, do you want me to help you sell your house?" But at the same time, I didn't even know how to do it, right? So,
Right.
so I would get that fear at that time. So I overcame that by just doing it, right? But what I messed up in is doing it not like not doing it enough. So
Got it.
so but going back to the same thing that you're saying, like how is it? What's the best method? Is just staying in contact with people, approaching anyone and everyone that you come across, and just try your best to stay in touch with your neighbors, your circle of influence, the people you talk to, friends, family, you know
Yeah.
and like cold calling, postcards, just back to the basics.
Right, and then also keeping a database is very important too. Following up with the people you met before, potential clients, previous clients, that's very important. I remember when I started the business, I feel like I talked to a few people and I just lost contact with them, and then probably years later I remembered their name or their I just saw their property in the market. I'm like, wait, I talked to that person.
Yeah.
So it's very important to make sure you put everything in your database, or you have a CRM, which could be pretty helpful.
Yeah, if I'm gonna be honest, I feel like the last 6 years I wasted my time. I feel like I'm like getting a wake up call in how to do the business right. Like there's so much opportunity. You could become a millionaire. Like that's not a doubt. It's
Right.
just you have to be committed. You have to be organized. And if you're not, you're gonna be wasting your time. And a lot of the agents do that. Like 85 to 95% of the agents waste their time, and only the top realtors that you see on social media, on anything that anyone that's like high, they're probably the top 1 to 5%. So going back to that, it is true. You have to get a database, and I think it was way overdue for us to get one, and
Right.
we're finally getting one.
Yeah.
So we're working on a CRM. I've lost about I think like 5 to 10 listings per year, um, just because I didn't follow up at the right time with the right people. I had contacts on my phone that I met 4 or 5 years ago that are selling now. If I would have stayed in touch with them, that would have been a $10,000-$20,000 commission, which like I mean, it comes with time. Like you
That's
learn.
true. Yeah, but now we're glad we're doing it now. And yeah. So you touched the topic about how you started. You thought maybe what if you're too young in the business, no experience. Do you think people do see that a young guy comes in or a young girl comes in trying and offers to sell their house, and this person, that's probably the biggest asset they have. The
That is true.
homeowners
And I feel like, yes, initially, they do have that fear, like, oh, this guy is too young. I don't know if I could trust them. I'm twice their age. I have a home, maybe they don't. Why should I trust them, right? But at the end of the day, like, it comes back to also, like, being able to connect with people. So one thing is knowing what kind of business you're going to help them with. And the other thing is just being there as a person, you know?
Right.
And I feel like that was more important than actually knowing what to do, because at the office, you know, and I'm sure every agent at whatever office they're in, they have like a knowledge that could be transferred from the mentors, from the people that help you out. So
Right.
even though you're young in the business, you're a young guy that might not know everything. You have a source to help you out with that. So that's what I would do. Like if I felt like someone was kind of like hesitant to deal with me because I was too young, then I would always bring my manager Eddie, or I would bring someone that's been in the business for a while so they could help me out, and that would help, and we'll get the deal closed, and it'll help a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense, especially bringing someone with experience. You might have to split the commission, but at the end of the day, it's gonna help you get something instead of nothing.
That's true.
And then also bringing knowledge to your clients. There's some good vendors that might be able to assist you with, like lenders, title reps,
True.
and then that could
True.
help you as well, and
Yeah.
bring the knowledge to your client so they could see that
Yeah.
you know what you're doing, and that you could get the job done.
Yeah. So like any business, planning is first, and then doing is second.
Right.
But if you plan too much and you don't do it, it's still not good enough. And if you don't plan and you do it, something's even better than even planning before. So it's just a matter of getting it done and being consistent. I feel like that's the main thing.
Right. And then let's see. From one of the listings you have closed or maybe buyers, any cool, interesting stories that you may have?
Well, you know how I told you I used to work at a restaurant called Burrito Place.
Yes.
They're the same owners of Antigua. So
Okay.
after a few years in the business, I was actually able to help them both buy a property. So
That's good.
I went back and stayed in touch with the same people that employed me at a point, and just helped them out buy some more assets for them. Yeah. So I feel like that's a pretty cool thing, because you could help the people that are close to you.
Right.
Help them just achieve their dreams and continue to, get closer to their goals and just be there for them.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
How about yourself?
Probably has to be one of my first listings. It was this lady contacted me. She was living in Mexico, and her husband has just passed away. And they had 6 units here in El Sereno. And she told me, she's like, yeah, I want to sell. However, I want to do seller financing.
Okay.
And I kind of read about it when I was getting my license, but I really didn't know that much details. And then I was aware that back then it was pretty common, but now you don't see it as much.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting, and we were
But
able,
it's kind of coming back, huh?
yeah, it's kind of coming back. There's some, especially with rates going up, the sellers could dictate what rate
Yeah.
they could
And
have.
if you don't know what seller financing, you could reach out to us, because it's a great tool to get yourself into a property without even having to qualify for a loan.
Right. Yeah. So that was a cool experience, and then we were able to sell that property, seller financing, and then I was able to see how escrow deals with it, how the paperwork is, and yeah, it was something I learned, and it was one of my first listings that I got, and it was a cool experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You asked me of a cool, good story. Actually, this property that we're in is like 3 houses down from the first property I sold on my own,
Right.
which it took like 2 to 3 years, honestly, because all the deals that I did before that were either like split commission with some other agents. I helped